Mr. Chijan, thank you very much for joining us today. I was wondering if you could start by introducing yourself, telling us about where you're from and what you do.
Hi, my name is Chi Zhang. Originally from China. Now I'm a calligraphy teacher and a Chinese brush painting teacher based in the Confucius Institute for Scotland.
Great. Could you tell us a little bit about your background, where you were born, where you grew up?
I born and raised up in China and then moved to Scotland.
Mm-hmm. And whereabouts in China?
I born in China in the central province, this Henan province.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the largest population provinces in China.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about 400 miles south of Beijing and 500 miles west of Shanghai, which is right in the middle of the country.
Right. And can you tell us when you came to Scotland?
I came to Scotland in 2005
Mm-hmm.
as an international student, which I studied in Dundee University, then came to Jonathan Art College.
Okay. And why did you come to Scotland? Why did you choose Scotland?
The reason I chose Scotland is because by that time, Scottish government initialized a new scheme called the Fresh Talent scheme, which attracting more international students from overseas coming to study and also working in Scotland to gain some experience. Which means if you have a Scottish degree, you can stay here working for additional 2 years without any restrictions. That's the reason brought me to Scotland. So, which I applied a couple of particular Scottish universities and then chose Dundee as my destination.
Right. And what was your initial experiences like arriving in Scotland and the Scottish culture?
And before I arrived to Scotland, I have no idea what this country looked like. I have no idea the accent is so difficult to understand. But it took me time to get used to that. So the first initial experience was I feel it totally different with what I used to experience things in China. A totally different street, different scenery, and even the cloud feels so close to us, and weather such changeable, sometimes miserable, sometimes sunny. We can experience 4 seasons in a day. A lot of new things and fresh ideas coming to my brain by the time.
Okay, great. And was there anything that particularly surprised you about Scottish culture or about the people?
I think Scottish people are quite friendly. They love talking with you and people greeting each other. And so it's always been a nice impression.
Okay, great. And what was your early kind of social life and lifestyle kind of experience like?
So the early social lifestyle, because when I was a student, mostly socialize with other students. It's quite go to party quite a lot and have a trip with other fellow students. So I socialize with students from different cultural backgrounds, not only Chinese people from all Europe, all over the world.
Right. And did you socialize at all with people from the Scottish background as well?
Yes, sometimes, but I think the most people I socialize will be other international students.
Right.
Because we're both far away from home, we probably have more common points to share about.
And did you see any kind of similarities between Scottish culture and Chinese culture when you arrived?
I think both countries have a long history and have lovely cultural heritage. And like both countries love music and poems and have their own traditional art form.
And how welcome did you feel when you arrived in Scotland?
I feel I'm quite been welcomed by Scottish people, the university. I feel just been to a great family there and adapting to the life here quite quickly and easily.
Great. And once, so when you finished being a student at Dundee, what did you do after that?
When I finished my study in Dundee, I started the part-time job in Dundee, working in McDonald's or in student accommodation services, part-time job. In the meantime, looking for a proper job, looking for a career. So, but I think I'm quite lucky, and within 3 months of graduation, I got my first job offer in Edinburgh. It's a marketing consultant agency. So I starting my career as a junior graphic designer. It's about 12 years ago.
Right.
That's how I started my job ladder.
Right. And now you're working at the Confucius Institute?
Now I'm working for Confucius Institute for Scotland. I'm teaching here. I have regular evening class of Chinese calligraphy and Chinese brush painting. I also deliver talks, lectures, and classes, workshops to a wider community, like different schools and art societies, art clubs, and sometimes go to the galleries and the museums for one day or workshop.
Right. And can you tell us what kind of inspired you to get involved in calligraphy and art?
When I was a child, when I was really young in China, I started to practice this art form, and then when I became in Scotland, I found there's not many people know calligraphy. They can only explain calligraphy in English to local people.
Sure.
So many Chinese artists, they can't speak English at all, and for the Chinese teachers, they have no idea of what calligraphy and brush painting might look like. So I think I have a combination of skills, which is the perfect thing for me to starting to promoting Chinese culture and Chinese art form.
Yeah, great. And do you think that your Chinese culture and heritage is impacted in the work that you do, that inspired you to get into that work?
For sure, because like Chinese calligraphy have over thousands of years history, it's definitely a part of Chinese cultural heritage. And to promoting that, you should have a deep understanding of what the Chinese cultural heritage look like, and understanding the deep history of the Chinese calligraphy, so you can explain it better to a wider audience, to the general public.
Right. Yeah. And I noticed that you've done some work on things like calligraphy to do with Robert Burns' poems and things like that.
Yes.
So have you done a lot of work with the connection with Scottish culture as well?
Yes, to do calligraphy of Robert Burns' poem, it's the idea to try to find a connection between two countries. And I used to using Chinese calligraphy to writing our Tang Dynasty or Song Dynasty poems, but Scottish people, they couldn't understand what talking about.
Sure.
So the Robert Burns idea is try to find a connection using a different format, a new media, to writing the Scottish poem. People love to have. Try to encourage people not only appreciating the poem, but try to understand Chinese calligraphy.
Great.
Yeah.
And have you done other work like that to do with the connections between the two cultures?
Yes, sure, because I'm also paint quite a lot in my leisure time if I'm not teaching. I do have works I can show you here. Like examples. I have this kind of like Edinburgh castle in the kind of Chinese style, in the Chinese style, which the first sight you look at it might feel like, oh, that's a Chinese painting, but it's Edinburgh castle, but it's it's slightly different than that. Again, I try to using this media to paint, I try to find connections between the Chinese techniques and the landscape, the local landscape. So people will familiar, will know the landscape and understand the media, and it's coming from a different technique. So we do this rather than to painting traditional Chinese landscape. People might have no idea of what that might look like. Like most of Chinese paintings, they are monochrome paintings with black and white. So it's rare to have any color of that. But using the pressure of the brush, we can show kind of contrast in the 2D dimension, also create a feel of depth and space.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's quite simple. And for this kind of painting, it also has some connection with Chinese calligraphy as well. Because for painting and calligraphy, we're using same kind of materials, same brush and same paper, same ink. Actually, for Chinese calligraphy writings, it looks like individual pictures. So the character I'm writing here, which means good luck in Chinese calligraphy, which in all different styles, from the earliest writing style, called the seal style, and to Han Dynasty clerical style, and standard style. That's the style popular being used nowadays for publications. And cursive style is really abstract, and the running style, most common one. You can see for writing calligraphy, we hold the brush in the special way in the upright position. We try to make sure always upright horizontally, and using the point by apply the brush onto the paper with a different pressure and different speed. It showed up such a variety of effect on this paper.
In your, I guess, work and personal life, do you engage a lot with people from different backgrounds in your work now as well?
In my work now, I'm mostly teaching people from Scotland, would be the local people who have a huge interest of Chinese art culture. They come into my class, they learn for the art. I sometimes go to schools to talking with the pupils, to deliver workshop for them, or go to lecture in the museum for this kind of activities. So I'm more engaging with local people at the moment in my work.
Great. And do you ever go back to China as well at the moment and do work in China?
I try to go back to China more often, especially in recent years. I try to bring kind of cultural link between the two countries, such like bring artists from China, they visit him and study here, and I try to bring Scottish artists back to China to do their exhibitions as well.
Okay. Tell me, is there something that you're particularly proud of, or your proudest achievement, either personal or work life?
Yes, I do have some projects I'm quite proud of. The last one will be in 2015. My calligraphy, Chinese calligraphy, was being projected on the castle, the wall of Edinburgh Castle during the Royal Military Tattoo. Because in that year, we have performers from the Chinese Liberation Army, they performing during the tattoo. So the tattoo committee approached me to writing a message, a welcome message in Chinese calligraphy, in the format of Chinese calligraphy, and which I'm happy to accept that. And this calligraphy which projected and before every individual performance. So that's the whole August of 2015. I think probably 1,000 people already seen that. That's kind of great publicity.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And in addition of that, I also been shortlisted as a Sky Artist, Sky TV Landscape Artist of the Year, 2015, which I'm in TV to painting Cornwall landscape alongside with other 7 artists. But I'm the only one who using Chinese media. Other people, they might using watercolor or acrylic or oil paintings. So I'm quite proud of that as well, which is showing the Chinese painting technique in front of camera to a wider audience.
Yeah, fantastic, great. And is there any part of Scotland or Scottish culture that you feel particularly connected to? Kind of what has kept you in Scotland all of these years?
I think by the time I'm living here, it's quite long journey. I'm living in Scotland for over 13 years. I think that's which I feel Scotland like my second hometown. Hometown. I'm quite adapt to the life here, and compare with China, the life more calm and more slow pace. But you have more free time to concentrate to do your own things. If you want to, writing a book, do a lot of reading, a lot of research, do my own art creations.
You've obviously got the calligraphy as well, but is there any aspect of Chinese culture that you particularly want to hold on to, you don't want to lose while you're in Scotland?
I think I'm still quite traditional Chinese man because I've been living in China for most of my life, still compared with Scotland.
Yeah.
After I finished my university in China, I come here to pursue a postgraduate degree. I think if I come into China in my early age, for example, if in the school age, I probably more like Scottish. But now I think in my blood and in my mind, it's all kind of Chinese concepts. I'm traditional Chinese man.
Great. And in your social life, would you say that most of your friends and things are from a Chinese background, or is it quite mixed as well?
At the moment, I mean, in the recent years, I'm socialized with people with similar background of me, like people from China, from Asian country, which they settled here. So we can share our stories, and we've been it's a kind of long-term friendship.
Sure. Right. And do you feel Scottish, or do you feel part of Scottish society?
I feel part of Scottish society because by the time I stay here, I'm quite used to the life here.
Sure. And was that a feeling that came gradually, or did it happen quite quickly when you arrived?
I think it came gradually after you have been here for certain years, been working for certain years, and been living for certain years. You gradually feel you're more part of the Scottish society.
Right, great. Well, that's all the questions we have. So thank you very much for joining us.